Good morning, everybody. We're back. Getting toward the end of the year. It's getting to feel a lot like Christmas, and it's going to be an exciting wind-up for 2023. We've been doing this show for about 20 years for you new folks. We're a show all about how to avoid being ripped off by a car dealer. Now, the exciting thing about this time in our history is we've reached a tipping point in that war, I believe, and I believe we're winning. You, the car buyers, and us, Earl on Cars, we're an advocate for you, and we've actually got some legislation pending, actually rules from the Federal Trade Commission pending, that when they kick in July of 2024, we hope they kick in, we believe they'll kick in, but it's going to be a fight. And I think we're leading the charge right here at Earl on Cars. We've been telling you for all these years how to avoid being taken advantage of. The Federal Trade Commission has heard us, but they've really got everybody's attention now because they've written some rules that when they go into effect they're in effect now, but they haven't been applied. They won't officially be applied until July of this year. I mean, next year, 2024. We're almost there. Basically, it'll avoid the junk fees and the dealer-installed accessories and the bait-and-switch advertising, all the things that we fought for on Earl on Cars for all of these years. So be prepared. I think what we're going to have to do from between now and July 2024 is call out the politicians, because the only way the Federal Trade Commission can be defeated, and you can be defeated, and we can be defeated, is if the Congress or the courts choose to cancel what the Federal Trade Commission has done. So we need to ask all of our congressmen, our senators, and our House of Representatives to stand up and be counted. Are they for the consumer? Are they for you and me when we buy a car? Or are they for Big Auto? Are they for the National Automobile Association, Automobile Dealers Association, or the thousands and thousands of car dealers that have been lining the pockets of politicians for many, many years to remain where they have been for all this time? So when we get into 2024, we hope that you'll be asking your representatives, your senators, where they stand. Are they for the car buyer? Because remember, car buyers also vote. You need to remind them about that. Are they for the car buyers, or are they for the National Automobile Dealers Association and your car dealers who are trying to maintain the status quo? And boy, I'll tell you what, talk about a status quo. That status quo has been in effect for 100 years, ever since Henry Ford and the first dealers came up. It is a one-sided way to cause you to pay thousands of dollars more for a new car, or a used car for that matter, than you should. So there we are, an exciting show, and we'd love to hear from you. That's what makes the show. We're focused so much on car sales right now, I can't not mention Rick Kearney, our certified diagnostic master technician. And whether we win or lose this battle, there's going to be a lot of cars out there that need to be fixed and maintained. And that's the reason that a lot of people listen to this show, in fact, probably the majority. So Rick Kearney is a guy that knows everything about your car. And if you have a question, if you like a free diagnosis, an opinion about that squeak, rattle, or roll you got in your car, that strange smell, that vibration, and you don't know what to do and you're afraid to take it into a service department because you know what happens oftentimes. They tell you you have to have something fixed that doesn't need fixing, or they charge you too much for what does need to be fixed. Just call us at 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. And you can ask Rick, and he'll give you his opinion. Now, if you're streaming us, go to youtube.com/Earl on Cars. And Rick, actually, he's monitoring that right now as we speak here in the studio. It's youtube.com/Earl on Cars. You can make a posting there. And you can even send us a video clip or an audio clip. That helps Rick diagnose problems. That'd be kind of cool. We have a text number, And that is, we try to get to all our texts before the end of the show. We answer our phones immediately. So it's 877-960-9960, and our text number is 772-497-6530. Now, we also have a Facebook number. YouTube's our biggest streamer, and we have facebook.com/Earl on Cars, and you can also follow the show on that. And one of my favorites, I love my youranonymousfeedback.com. More privacy is a big issue for a lot of people, and you don't want to be on live radio talking with name, address, and telephone number or whatever. You just sometimes like to express your opinion. So we have one that will respect your total privacy, and it's called youranonymousfeedback.com. YOURANONYMOUS feedback. Just the way it sounds, feedback.com. Youranonymousfeedback.com. And say your mind. You can be as direct and candid as you like, because we don't know who you are, where you are. If you do want a response, by the way, you have to ask for a response on your anonymous feedback. Now, we'll give you a public response, but if you'd like a private response, because we see it on our web browser, and it's just like it's like an email that comes through, except through the web. And we'll respond directly to you if you like, but you have to say yes, you would like a response, because we can't respond unless you ask us to, other than in public, which we're speaking on live radio right now. We're in North Palm Beach, Florida, by the way, and we're in the heart of the really probably the most egregious bait and switch. I don't know. I hate to call people dishonest, but that's just the way the industry has been. The retail automobile dealer has been walking that fine tightrope between dishonesty and honesty for a long time. And as I say, the Federal Trade Commission, CARS is what they call it. It stands for acronym Combating Auto Retail Scams. Combating Auto Retail Scams, CARS. And the Federal Trade Commission legislation, I keep calling it legislation, is a rule, is what we're so excited about this morning, and we'll be talking about until July at least. Let me introduce Nancy Stewart. She's my wife. She's my co-host. She helped found this show about 20 years ago when we were just a little half-hour show. And now we're 2 hours every Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Every Saturday morning. So she's been with me on this whole long ride. She is not just my co-host, but she's also a very strong female advocate. The ladies that listen to the show and call into the show have, we had none 20 years ago. It was kind of like an old boys club, and now we're about 50-50. And thanks to Nancy, and she has a very special incentive for you ladies out there. If you haven't listened to the show before and you're female, listen carefully. Nancy has a very special offer she's going to make to you right now, and I'm going to turn the mic over to her.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Our number is 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget youranonymousfeedback.com. I want to wish Ashley Moody a Merry Christmas. What do you think? You think that'll make a difference? Do you think that it'll tug at her, heartstrings?
Does she have a heart?
I love you, Rick. There you go. Okay. What do you think? You think Jeff Bezos and the FTC is putting eventually the squeeze on the auto industry? I think it's going to help a little.
We're talking about Amazon selling cars. That's really going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. At any rate, ladies, gosh, I love you guys. I love you, ladies, and I love you guys. $50 for the first two new lady callers. $50 for the first two new lady callers. That number is 877-960-9960. And you can text us at 772-497-6530. We have our Dog of the Week from Big Dog Ranch this morning, and we'll have a video to show you of our dog named Dream. We're going to go straight to the phones and thank John from Palm City for holding. Good morning, John.
Good morning to everybody. I have a technical question to Rick in air conditioning Freon. The original air conditioning Freon used to be R12. That was replaced by R134. Is that still used in all cars today?
Nope. As a matter of fact, the new standard is R1234YF, and it's even more expensive than the R134, and it's the machines to use it have gotten ridiculous. So the newer automobiles now, when you go in for AC work, be prepared to drop it for a while, because with the machine for R134, we could evacuate, recover, and recharge a system in about 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. The new one, 2 to 3 hours minimum.
Really?
The machine is so complicated and goes through so many steps, and it just has made it just kind of ridiculous.
Why is that? Why does it take?
I don't know. It has something to do with it will only work if there's the system has been tested. It has to do its own self-tests on the entire system. They've just put a lot of safeguards in them now. It's right from the manufacturers, and as a matter of fact, if it detects that the AC system is leaking, it will not recharge that system. It flat refuses. The machine will shut down.
So hence the price to the consumer goes up because your technician is time is being taken up, and time is money.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, great question, John. I learn more on this show than our audience does. I didn't know that either. Thank you very much.
Myself, I'm learning it too. But what I want to say was, when that first came out, it was called HFO 1234YF. It was produced by DuPont Chemical and Honeywell, and another one too, I forget. But Mercedes-Benz was dead against it. The reason is they must have been improved then, because they tested it and they said, no way will we use this in our car. The reason was, in a front-end collision, they claimed when the line became damaged, it could cause a fire. That's exactly what I read about it. It was more environmentally friendly, but the fact of that damage of a front-end collision and the line breaking open, it could be actually go on fire. Has Rick ever heard anything like that?
I've heard some rumors of it, but there were so many different systems that they've tried over the years. Like at one point, they actually used a propane derivative, and they very quickly discovered how dangerous that was, because if someone were smoking in their car and the AC system were to have just the right amount of gas leaking, it could actually create combustion inside the car just from a cigarette, or lighting a cigarette. So there have been so many different gases that they've tried, and basically they're trying to find some chemical that will act as a refrigerant, that has the right properties, but is not destructive to the environment, and at the same time is safe enough to use in these cars, and is effective. And the chemists are still working on it. They're trying very hard.
Here's a Google. I just Googled that. Is AC gas flammable? The answer is gas leaks are flammable, and usually if gas is leaking, they're talking about AC in general, not automotive necessarily. But apparently that's something I wasn't even aware of that.
Yep.
Well, we proved one thing from Rick. Nobody should be fooling around with their air conditioning.
Wow.
These cans that they sell at an auto store, that's all nonsense, because specialized equipment has to work on the system and blow every air out of the line and everything. So that's an important factor. One fast thing, not to hold up, I did some investigation, and I see now this show exposed the MSRP, which is Maroney sticker, a lot of dealers are federally against the federal law, not attaching it. Well, the manufacturers now have beat the whole system. They're putting it on, and I checked this out with several dealers. They're putting the sticker on when the car is delivered from the factory, but the window is so tinted that you can't even read the sticker. And I thought when I first saw it that it was a trick of the individual dealer that was doing it, so you just can't read it. The tint is so dark on the window. But I saw yesterday, and I won't mention where, but not in this area, it was a Cadillac dealer. The truck just delivered them to them from factory new. It was from Spring Hill, Tennessee, the assembly plant, and the windows were so dark in the rear. It was an SUV that you could absolutely not read the MSRP sticker. Any comment on that?
Yeah, it's been so abused for so long, John. It's funny that the Federal Trade Commission hasn't mentioned that in the ruling, but yeah, it's kind of silly to think we have a law that's been on the books since 1958 that's virtually been totally ignored. And I can walk out of the studio now to wherever the closest car dealership is, and I guarantee you, half the cars or all of the cars will not have the MSRP properly displayed. So on the list of to do for the Federal Trade Commission, that should be one of them.
I'd guarantee that, because the closest dealership, as the crow flies to us, is Napleton.
And we just don't pay much attention to it anymore. It's like you go into a car dealership. Actually, what happens when we do a mystery shop and we find a car dealer with the MSRP on the window, we say, "Wow, look at that! He's actually obeying the law." Mm-hmm. It's more disobeyed than obeyed.
Well, when in doubt, tell the salesman that you're dealing with, I want to see a copy. And actually, he can do it on a computer, print it out, and I want to see the actual copy in front of me of that MSRP window
Absolutely.
sticker.
Maybe they think that absolves them of the law because you can print out a copy, but it doesn't. It might be a silly technicality, but it's got to be stuck to that windshield.
All right. Well, thank you guys again.
Great call, John. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, John.
Thank you. You too.
We enjoy your company. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget your anonymousfeedback.com. Isn't a new location for the addendum in the back seat of the car? At any rate, I mentioned our dog of the week, and you can go to www.bigdogranch.org.
Big Dog Ranch Rescue.
BDRR.org. And you can check out all the dogs on their website. That's Big Dog Ranch Rescue. And you can see our dog of the week this morning that we're going to feature, and that's Dream. And Dream's from Tennessee, which leads me to our next caller.
Oh, I was going to say maybe Dream knows Lance.
Exactly. So good morning, Lance.
Well, I'm so happy to hear you saying something good about Tennessee dogs.
The best dogs come from Tennessee. Everybody knows that.
Well, Earl, we've looks like the FTC is about to step up to the plate. I'm just not so sure that this fight is over. I have a feeling that by the time it gets ground up in the legislative process, they'll weaken this. They'll weaken this.
Well, I fear you might be right, Lance. It's involvement is the only way the voters are going to get what they want, and Americans are kind of casual. I mean, you hear from the vocal ones and the people like us, really, but the average person, America's a great place, and you live your life, and the politicians, unfortunately, lead their lives, and they get their way. So we're going to try to rally the troops. I know you'll be on our side, Lance. Maybe with you and us and the other involved people, we can get the politicians' attention and see if we can win this fight.
Earl, I would be amiss if I did not provide you with a little holiday tune. And believe me, I've worked on this tune for days and days and days and days. And the only thing that's pulled me through all this thinking is the early times.
Do you want me to count it off for you?
Are you ready?
We
Yep.
are ready.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's almost Christmas Day. Earl, Nancy, Rick, and Sue have got a lot to say. They'll tell you a lot about staying away from fees. But the one great advice they have, especially around the holiday time, is don't be trying to climb Christmas trees.
Wow. That's a Tony winner. That's a Academy Award winner. Thank you, Lance.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks,
Merry
Lance. Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
You keep us smiling.
We're going to have Stu bring his guitar in on Saturday mornings
I don't know.
so he can assist you. Ladies, if you're out there and you're listening and you're a first-time listener, give us a call. You can win yourself $50 this morning. $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. Give us a call at 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. Let's go to William, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, William.
Good morning. I have a question for Earl. Your thoughts on the recent news in the last couple of days of a fairly large proportion of Buick dealers and a fairly large proportion of Ford dealers have decided they don't want to deal with the electric vehicles, repairs, charging, and all that, and have either lost their franchises or giving them up. I'll hang up and listen on the radio. Thanks.
You mean the Buick dealers?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Buick dealers. Yeah, that's shocked me basically. It got when I saw that about half the Buick dealers have agreed to sell back their dealerships to General Motors, and it says a lot that isn't being actually publicized right now. It says something about the future of the retail automobile dealership. And it's a little scary. I mean, we have a car dealership. We have EarlOnCars.com. We have a Toyota dealership. It's a family business. We've been in it for many, many years. And so we don't want car dealerships to cease being, in existence. We want to see car dealerships remain. We want to remain. And we like them to just follow the rules and not trying to take advantage of people. But to answer your question, I was surprised that half the Buick dealers, when I say it, I can't believe that I'm saying this, half the Buick dealers said to General Motors, here, give me some money, I'll give you my dealership back. I don't want to be in business anymore. And I think that that's an unspoken sentiment to a lot of dealerships and manufacturers, dealers, that we don't know yet. This Federal Trade Commission ruling, CARS, Combating Auto Retail Scams, which goes into effect in July, basically is going to say either the majority of dealers have to change radically the way they sell cars, or else they're going to be put out of business because they'll be violating all the rules.
Half of Ford dealers opted out of Ford's request to get them on board selling electric vehicles.
Exactly. Okay, the Ford, yeah. That's what I thought he said was Ford. Yeah, the indirect message there from the Ford dealers is that not only do they have to spend a lot of money to become an electric all-EV dealer, according to Ford, but they also realize that the electric vehicle status has been a kind of a loophole for the manufacturers to avoid having to go through dealerships, and that's what Tesla did. Tesla now sells cars directly. You can't. There's no such thing as a Tesla dealer. If you have a location in a city that's selling Teslas, that's owned by Tesla. That's owned by the manufacturer. So it's not an independent dealership, and they got the reason they did that is because it's a new technology. All electric vehicles, and the law has been interpreted not to cover only combustion engines. So the Ford dealers say, hey, not only don't I want to spend the investment to have you call me an electric vehicle dealer, I don't want to. I don't want to determine my destiny with a situation where I might not be the dealer anymore. That Ford will be selling cars directly, all electric vehicles.
Well, he hung up to hear the answer.
Yeah, well, it's good. I mean, that's a.
Well, it was a very good answer. I was shocked about Ford too.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with Ford though? Are they going to be asked to sell out, or are they just going to continue to sell regular internal combustion engine vehicles?
Well, I think Ford is going to. I think Ford will probably struggle to be an electric vehicle dealer like Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, since half the dealers are not doing it, are they going to jump in and do like direct?
They'll do it themselves. Yeah. I think that's half the fear and why the Ford dealers agreed. They said, "I don't want to spend the money,"
Right?
But in their mind's eye, they were saying also, "I don't want to be an EV dealer." See, if you spend the money today in your Ford dealer to get qualified by Ford to sell electric vehicles, 20 years from now, you're not going to have anything but electric vehicles to sell, and that means that Ford could say, "Hey, I think we're going to sell these cars ourselves because the law doesn't support the
It's
dealer."
getting yourself in a much less secure position.
Yeah,
So that's why they're doing it. It's the breaking of the dam, possibly. Do we have any other callers? I have a text from Anne Marie.
I'm going to go to Bob, but I'll tell you what, things are changing, and the new world ahead of us in the auto industry. And it's out there. It's going to happen. 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Bob, who's calling us from Lake Park. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Happy holidays, everyone.
Hey, Bob.
Thank you.
Good morning. Well, that situation with Ford and Buick is all about money. They don't want to sell electric cars, those dealers. And the Ford dealers said that they'll still sell the internal combustion engines, but they don't sell electric vehicles. So they turned down Ford's offer to redo their dealerships. And the Buick dealers, that was the same thing.
Yep.
They don't want to sell electric vehicles. It had nothing to do with this new ruling that's coming out.
Right.
It has all to do with
Yeah.
it all has to do with them having to reinvest a lot of money in their dealerships. And I guess they don't want to do it. They took the buyouts.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question. Automobile Alliance of Innovation, which represents the manufacturers, has come out against this new cars legislation.
Of course.
And I was wondering why are the manufacturers, not the dealers, I know why they're against it. Why are the manufacturers coming out against the new legislation that supposedly will take effect on July 30th?
Well, this group does represent the manufacturers, but it's the independent manufacturers. It's not like the National Automobile Dealers Association, and often the public posture taken by dealer associations has to do with politics with their dealers. You have to understand that even though the manufacturers build the car, the dealers also control the retailing of the car now. The manufacturers need the dealers. When a manufacturer alienates dealers, if they were to go out and support the Federal Trade Commission rules, then there would be a open rift between the manufacturers and the dealers. And behind closed doors, the manufacturers are high-fiving each other, saying, finally, we're going to be able to get our cars sold directly to the public like Tesla, and look how successful Tesla has been. We want to do this, and that's behind closed doors. But they cannot telegraph to the dealers that they are against them, because once the dealers look at the manufacturer as their enemy, then the dealers have tremendous lobbying power through the National Automobile Dealers Association, and they can go back against the manufacturers. Matter of fact, the reason the dealers are so entrenched today, and you can't get rid of them, a dealer can't be canceled by an auto manufacturer like they used to be. The reason they're so entrenched is because the dealers did the lobbying with the state government. So Florida and Georgia and Massachusetts and all 50 states have powerful state laws that make the car dealer immune both from the manufacturer and from the Federal Trade Commission and laws that restrict their activities.
Oh, all right. So I just thought it was odd because they said that this alliance represents Toyota, General Motors, all the major manufacturers, and they publicly came out. They were lobbying against it, from what I heard. So I just thought it would behoove the manufacturers actually. I know some of them were sending letters to some of the dealers about these markups on the cars, but they haven't really no power to enforce it.
At the Toyota National meeting in September, they had a break in the middle of their presentation to address it. But like you said, it's more of like, hey, guys, watch out. You're going to get yourselves in trouble sort of an attitude as opposed to you have to stop doing this.
Right.
And the other thing is a lot of the manufacturers reach out to their dealers often to lobby for their political goals. Toyota has asked us to go to Washington, D.C. and speak out against tariff proposals. Yeah. And so when the dealers are going to look to the manufacturers in this quest for them to support them. So it's a partnership, and they're going to help each other either way.
See, when you look at dealerships, you forget these are wealthy people. These are people that employ a lot of people. If you take all the employees of all the car dealers in the United States, you're talking about a significant voting bloc. And so the manufacturers need the dealers to support them, and the dealers need the manufacturers to support them. So it's kind of an unholy alliance. But in the heart of the manufacturers, they have to want to be able to go direct to the market. They don't want to go back through this convoluted, crazy network that has evolved over 100 years. It is so anti-consumer and unfriendly toward the consumer that it's embarrassing the manufacturers. And that's something they can only talk about, behind closed doors. Publicly, they'll be supporting the car dealers right up to the point where their car dealers have to toe the line and obey the law or else.
So if you had to look into your crystal ball, would you say that this is going to wind up in the courts?
Oh, if the dealers have their way, yes, and that's what I at the beginning of the show I said. What we need to do is rally the troops now. We need for the car buyers who also happen to be voters. I mean, the manufacturers and the dealers, they forget that the car buyers are voters, and I think sometimes the voters forget they're voters. But if you're a car buyer, then if there ever was a time when you let your senators and your congressmen, the people that represent you in your state and in the United States, let them know. Listen, I'm tired of having to go buy a car and fear for my life. I mean, the old joke, I'd rather have a root canal or a colonoscopy than go see a car dealer to buy a car. It's a sad truth.
You wrote that 20 years ago.
I did, yeah.
It hasn't gotten better.
So now we need to go. See, the only thing that'll get the politicians' attention is the voters. And until the car buyers realize that they're voters, then we'll be stuck right where we've been for the past 100 years. So it'll be an interesting 2024.
Right. And I want to ask you a question about the old guy that was in charge of Toyota that they booted him out.
Yeah. Akio.
Yeah.
My age, you wasn't that old.
Well, it looks to me like he was right all along, because he wanted to go just with the hybrids and not go fully electric right away. And there's a lot of pushback.
Bob,
I've been reading.
Yeah, that's interesting. You really you're really sharp. I thought, when they booted Akio, that surprised me. And now I'm even more surprised because it looks like Toyota is taking a tack back toward EV, and the industry is hybrid, and the industry is looking at it the same way. So maybe they made a mistake. I always thought Akio Toyoda was a super sharp guy with his eye on the future, like Toyota always had, and I kept saying, Toyota is in this for the long run, and sometimes they make decisions in the short run that sound stupid or confusing, but they've been proven right for so many years as the world's largest auto manufacturer. And you don't get to that point by being stupid. So the courts are still out as to, the jury's still out, I should say, as to whether Toyota's right or wrong. But you're right. They fired Akio. And now they're doing what he said that we should do, Toyota
Right.
should do.
Well, he's not unemployed. I think he's the chief driver right now. No, he's like a chairman. He's still on the board, and I think he has to sign off
well,
on
he's
any.
part of the family, sure.
Yeah,
He's,
and he has to sign off any new vehicle. So.
Well, what I read, though, is the only people that are buying EVs are what they call early adopters.
yeah, exactly.
And in order to move to the next phase of the cycle,
Exactly.
they really have to change. They change too much at once, and people are too uncomfortable with all the changes to go to an EV. Not to mention the charging station and everything else.
Absolutely, Bob, and your input is well taken. We have a few calls
Okay.
holding.
Well, thank you very much, and have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much. Stu mentioned about a column that Earl wrote 20 years ago. I'd rather have a root canal than to purchase a vehicle. Ashley Moody, she really, and if you don't know who she is the Attorney General and
For Florida.
Attorney General of Florida. And, you could do so much by writing her and talking to her about the junk fees, about consumers being ripped off. It's really very, very important. We all need to play a part in this. So, Attorney Ashley Moody, Attorney of Florida. Ashley Moody. Let's go to Tricia. She's called before, and we look forward to speaking to her. Good morning, Tricia.
Good morning and happy holidays to you all.
Thank you.
I also want to tell you, I thank you very much for sending me my $50 like ASAP. That was wonderful. Thank you. And also, you are now my go-to morning station every Saturday morning. So I want to tell you that.
Hey, that's great.
Thank you.
So I actually got two-part question. I forgot to mention it to the guy who answered the phone. My first part, I want to confirm that you told callers not to buy like Car Shield and warranty things like that, right? Is that true? You
Especially,
don't recommend
correct.
that.
Especially those ones that you see on television.
Okay, fine. All right. Obviously, they're making enough money to put an ad on there. Obviously, people are buying it, but I just wanted to make sure you recommended not to do that.
That is
okay.
correct.
All right. My second question is, well, the first time I called is because I did get turned off to buying a hybrid by all the extra fees. We talked about that. I got so turned off about all the junk fees, I just gave up in buying a hybrid. Instead, I decided I'm putting in spark plugs in my car, a 2016 Honda Fit at 93,000 miles. I spent money to put in new spark plugs and what was called a serpentine belt, which in all my years of driving, I've never heard of a serpentine belt, but whatever. So I want to talk to you about what I was charged. I know you mentioned, a lot of comparisons to, to teeth. I want to give you an example. Here I went to a guy who's been taking care of my car for a long time. I want to know if these prices are fair, because I've learned recently that my dentist, who I've been going to for 10 years, was telling me I needed work on some teeth, and two other dentists looked at the x-rays and said, no, you don't need work on this teeth. So now, see the comparison?
Yeah.
Here, a dentist who I trusted is making BS work on a teeth I don't need. So now I want to know if this car shop that I'm working with is charging me, unnecessary and fair fees. So I want to read off.
Probably because it's just a common practice. Do you keep the copies of your customer invoices when you see this?
Yes, I have it right in front of me. That's why.
Okay, good. So it's gonna on these repair, it's gonna list the work that was done and probably any parts that they used. Down at the bottom, it's gonna have a total, and there'll be sales tax. Do you see any lines that say miscellaneous or shop fees or environmental fees?
Yes.
Okay, how much is that?
Yeah. Actually, not the shop supplies.
Yes.
Actually, weren't that bad. It's only $15.
Okay. Usually it's a small percentage of the total bill. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. It just adds up because they collect these fees in a large volume.
About 10% typically.
Yeah. So there's not going to be anything on a repair shop where they're going to hit you with like several $100 or $1,000 fee like if you were buying a car. But on the repairing your car, they will nickel and dime you and get little fees.
We call it the service dealer fee.
Yeah.
Service junk fee is a new term. But almost every dealer does that. You can call if you're a member of the American Automobile Dealers AAA, you can get a list of dealers that don't charge that. AAA approved dealers are not allowed to charge those fees. But it's typical. I'd say 95% of car dealers charge those junk fees in service.
But this is not a dealership. This is a little mom and pop
Same thing,
shop.
Any repair shop, it's common in that business of repairing cars.
But it's common, but is it wrong? Is what you're saying?
It's unethical, but it's legal. So you can find dealers that don't do. Or other repair shops that don't do that. It's hard to do. Like
every
Earl said,
business does the same thing, Tricia. If you stay at a hotel, if you fly, if you rent a car, they're called junk fees. And the dealers invented the junk fee many years ago, and the independent repair shops followed suit. So whether you're going to buy a car, or you're going to rent a car, or you're going to buy a hotel room, or you're going to buy an airplane ticket, read your invoice and find out if there's something suspicious. Junk fees are just part of life, and they're wrong, they're immoral, they're unethical, and they should be illegal.
How much did they?
That's what I asked him, because I knew him for so long. I said, come on, you need to put these shop fees in there. Isn't it in the price of the repair? Well, everyone does it. Every single place does it. That's what was his retort to me.
Well, that was
Tricia.
the truth.
Tricia, this is Nancy Stewart. This conversation that we're having right now, we've had so many times, and you can help us by writing your Florida Attorney General. That's Ashley Moody. She can do so much for us on this topic. It's illegal, and it's these junk fees are completely out of control. So please help us.
I will. I got the name from your last caller.
Thank you.
Could I read off to you what I was charged, and if you could tell me if that was appropriate or not, or
Sure.
do you have time for that?
Real quick.
Okay. Okay. The AC compressor, drive belts, remove and replace, $70. Spark plugs, remove and replace, $141. Carquest Dayco serpentine belt, $44. Denso Auto Parts, Iridium, $7. But then labor and parts.
Tricia, can you call the show, call us after the show, because we really got a bunch of callers here, and we can't spend a whole lot more time. So please call after the show, and we'll try to steer you in the right direction.
Until then, Tricia, the Florida Attorney General send her a real nice letter. Let her hear from you. We are going to go
Thank
to.
you.
You're welcome. We're going to go to Frank, who's calling us from Jupiter Farms. Morning, Frank.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank
Good
you.
morning, Frank.
Yeah, good morning. I got a short list because every time I call, I forget what to say, and so I hang up. First and foremost, a couple weeks ago, happy birthday, Earl.
Well, thank you.
I actually called your phone, and you said you'll get back to me, but I'm sure you were inundated with so many phone calls that I didn't feel that depressed that you didn't call back. And then yesterday, I took a drive up to Stewart to treat my wife to some fresh lobsters. And while I was up there, I noticed the car dealerships are loaded with cars once again.
Yeah.
I guess the inventory is coming back.
Yeah,
And,
especially
that
on
was-
the domestic lots. They're at what's their day supply now?
Oh,
They're-
60 days supply.
Yeah, they're back to close to pre levels.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that instead of looking like a ghost town. Did you notice that little cartoon I sent you about the Tesla extended range version?
Hold on a second. I actually forgot my computer today, so I'm looking at these things on my phone. Oh yeah. I got to send this to Jonathan. We'll put it on the screen. I'll describe it. It's a Tesla Model Y dragging a bunch of solar panels behind it. It says, "Getting ready for my road trip in my Tesla."
That's funny.
I know how you guys like humor, so I always like to throw something.
That's
back
great.
to some stuff I saw on the news. Are you familiar with the Palm Beach Auto Group? Have you heard of them?
Yes. It's a used car group. I'm pretty sure. They were the reason I've heard of them is because they came up on the Palm Beach County Best of Palm Beach County Awards for the best businesses, and I think they were nominated in one of the categories.
Palm Beach
Well,
Palm Beach
their
Auto
owner-
Group.
Oh,
Yeah, their owner Stephen Neary took advantage of a lot of investors, saying he was buying these Chrysler minivans for Amazon Prime, and was going to give them back an 8 to 10% return on their money. Unfortunately, he took their money and bought new cars, paid off his loans and stuff. So he's been indicted for like millions of dollars of theft.
Ah,
But so much for their auto group.
yeah.
But anyway, that came out. And let's see, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, the other day I had to drive down to Homestead Air Force Base to get an ID card for my wife, and I drove around the base a little show where I used to fly, and I guess I picked up a nail, and I heard the thump, 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 and of course my tires going low.
I know.
Went to Costco. They went 3 hours to fix a flat, and we pumped it up and drove up, and she was saying, well, maybe we ought to go to buy Earl Stewart. You know those guys. And I said, well, I didn't do that, but anyway.
Did you get
It
any
was,
free
it's always-
free nitrogen while you were at Costco?
Oh, of course.
Did you really?
It's
Do they do that automatically? Like just give it to you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. It's a nice touch.
There's actually there's actually like, you actually got like an air place so you can just go self-serve and you dial in your amount of air pressure and you just fill your own tires. Keeps them from having to do it. You go to like the Tire Kingdom for air, they'll actually come out there and
They'll
when
do
their
it for you.
employees has to stop working.
Yeah, it is
But
a
anyway,
nice touch.
That's it.
It's a nice touch like a
But-
chocolate on your pillow at a hotel. It doesn't do
There
much,
you
but
go.
it's nice.
There.
Thanks,
But
Frank.
you all have a great Christmas and New Year's, and we enjoy your show. And I guess one of the callers a couple weeks ago, first female caller, mentioned I had told her about your show, and I said, yeah.
yeah.
When I meet females, I go, hey, it's really great. You can call in, and I used to start out. You want to make a phone call, make $50, and they looked at me like you're pervert. What are you talking about? And then when I tell them about your show,
That's a rough way to approach it. You want to make $50?
I know.
Hey, we have your meme up on the screen for our streaming audience. You can see the Tesla with the solar panels. Thanks for sharing that, Frank.
Okay. You all have a good day. I'll let you get back to other callers.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Frank. Our mystery shopping report comes to us from Essential Ford in Stewart, so you want to stay tuned for that. Also, take advantage of youranonymousfeedback.com And you can call us at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Now, we're going to go to Stu.
All right, Anne-Marie has a text for us. She says, good morning. I hope everyone is well and having a safe and happy holiday season. I've encountered a mystery I'm hoping that Rick can solve. Why do brakes squeal?
Number one reason.
We're not done. We're not done with the question.
Oh, okay.
I have an idea too because I've watched Rick's videos, but I'll let Rick handle it. Why do brakes squeal? Specifically, why would a 2013 Ford F-150 have squeaking brakes when you first start out? Hit the brake, then drive off and never hear the brakes squeak or squeal the rest of the drive, no matter how many stoplights you may encounter. The truck had a brake job less than 6 months ago. Do you have any idea what's going on?
Yeah.
He does. Anne-Marie, if you're listening, get ready.
Florida environment. It's when you
That
park
sums
your
it
car
up.
overnight, you get a light layer of dew, gets on the brake rotors, causes just a little bit of corrosion to appear. And when you first step on it in the morning, the pads are cleaning that corrosion off the first one or two applications of the brakes. Makes a little bit of an odd noise.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes away because it's cleaned it away.
Oh, wow.
And you won't hear it again until the next morning.
Okay. That's a very simple
Very
answer.
common in Florida.
To a common question. What about the squealing that occurs when the brakes start to wear down? Isn't that a design to alert you to?
There's we actually call it by the technical term, the squealer, and it's simply a little metal tab that is bent over that protrudes on the brake pad, and when it gets close enough, when the pad surface gets worn down, it starts to rub against the rotor and makes a squealing sound to say, hey, these brakes are worn out, time for new ones.
Okay. And that's when they get to that point, they're at the point where they got to be changed.
Yep. Now, we do have one other situation in Florida here that a lot of folks run into, is where they live very close to the ocean or very close to the intercoastal, you'll wind up with salt corrosion on the brakes. And I've seen a lot of folks that you could literally determine which side of their car is parked towards the ocean, because one side the rotors will be rusted all up and the other side they're relatively clean. And it's because of that salt corrosion. And again, it's nothing that you can really do about it.
But it's not a harmful
except
thing.
Try to keep your car in a garage.
Right. And if you park along the water, we've seen one half of the car get the corrosion treatment and the other side fare a lot better because it's out of the wind.
Exactly.
Would you recommend rotating your car in the wind so it corrodes equally?
If you can.
Okay.
And the other thing is to wash your car frequently, but find a car wash if you can that has an under car wash that washes the bottom of the car really well. These are actually very popular up north because of road salt.
Yeah.
When they salt the roads in the winter. So up north, they'll wash the cars in the wintertime, and that hot water will wash that salt off the underside and helps the suspension last a lot longer on your car.
That's very important because I've seen some nasty looking rusty cars up north.
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you, through the years, Earl and I, just keeping our cars clean because we're so close to the ocean really slows down the erosion, and it's big time.
That's right.
The closer to the salt water you are,
The ocean is a killer.
the worse you are.
Here's an interesting question. The Honda recall on their 2023-2024 HRV and Accord, did it have anything to do with where it was manufactured? Do you think they will give deep discounts on their inventory? Well, if there's a defect that gets built into a lot of cars that results in a recall, oftentimes they do come from a specific area, or there could be a specific part supplier where the problem is. As far as discounts on inventory for recalls, no, they won't be doing that for that reason. The manufacturer repairs the vehicles in inventory. Sometimes they have a stop sale, which you can't. They ground the cars. They have to fix them all. Cars come out like a brand new car. Follow-up question says the same thing applied to the Toyota recall on the 2023 Corolla Cross. for the defect and airbag deployment. Will discounts be given on those year models? And the answer to that is no, not for that reason, because they will be repaired and ready to sell once the recall is complete.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to go back to the phones and we're going to talk to Margaret from Deerfield Beach. Good morning, Margaret. Thank you for holding.
Hey, Margaret, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey,
Thank you. Good morning.
it's a lovely name.
Good morning. I have a question. I have a Hyundai Elantra 2008, and my on the light lit up where it says transmission. So I have to bring it in to be checked. What do you think the problem could be?
It could be so many different things. Unfortunately, the car is trying to communicate to you that it does have a problem, but the only way it can do that is by turning on that light. What'll happen is you'll go to the technician, they'll plug in a scan tool, find out what the trouble code is, and from there they'll be able to diagnose the car. Most likely it's going to be just a solenoid or one of the actuators in the what's called the valve body of the transmission. Probably a solenoid. They're electronic and they do wear out with age. So that's most likely the cause is one of them is starting to get weak. It's not operating properly. And so the car is giving you the light to say, hey, need to go ahead and get this repaired.
So do you think that would be a big expense?
Depending on what it is, it could be anywhere from $300 to $500 up to maybe $1,500 to $2,000 if there's a real problem in the transmission. Without knowing for sure what it is, there's no way to accurately predict it right now.
Oh, okay. I can understand that.
Do you have a regular place that you take your?
Yeah,
your
I take it to the King Hyundai in Deerfield Beach
okay.
on Federal.
Well, remember, you've got an older car, and when you look
Yes.
at pricing, you don't want to be spending too big a percentage of the value of your car. Your car today is worth, maybe $3,000 or $4,000. So you don't want to be spending
You don't
$2,000.
replace the transmission on that.
You're
car.
right. You're right. Yes. Okay. I appreciate that. That's
Thanks for
why I
calling,
called.
Margaret.
I've called before, and I listen every morning. I enjoy it.
Oh,
Well, we appreciate that very much.
thanks. My older
Thank you
daughter's name
very
is
much.
Margaret.
Have a great weekend. Happy holidays. Our number here is 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Your anonymous feedback is something you can take advantage of. YourAnonymousFeedback.com. Let's go to Howard, who is a regular caller. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. Happy Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas.
And just talking about airbags. Question number one. If you have a car older than 10 years, usually is your airbag compromised? In other words, should you have it changed or should you get rid of the car?
No. There was a concern basically only with the Takata airbags. That's where we had the biggest issue. And those airbags were not manufactured the way they should have been. But the rest of them, all the modern airbags, they've have no problem. And I honestly am not aware of anyone anywhere having had an issue with an airbag that is deteriorated because of age. So I would say...
Okay, let me just jump in there, Rick. This is where I would disagree. And we've talked about this on the show in years past. And there is no expiration date on airbags, but there should be. And because they're made out of materials and electronics and things deteriorate. And so just like tires, it's there's nothing you can build, but when it's directly related to your safety. But the answer is probably there's nothing wrong with your airbag because it's an older airbag. But the fact is, somebody out there should be looking at that and doing some testing because people are keeping their cars longer and longer now. So I can't believe that airbags are immortal and that at some point in time an airbag is going to have a problem. And because your life depends on it, there should be an expiration date on your airbag.
There is on my cereal.
Well, the only difficult part there, some cars have, like I think one of the last years of Avalon's, had as many as 12 or 15 different airbags, and at a cost of almost $1,000 each to replace all those on a 10 or 12-year-old car or 15-year-old car.
Better than dying.
It'd be better to get rid of the car at that point.
Well, yeah, but somebody's going to get by the car. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
At that point,
I'm
you'd
speaking
almost
about
have
our
to say-
legislators. I'm talking about our government and the NHTSA and the people that are supposed to be protecting us, us car drivers. So if you can't talk to a rational human being and saying, will an airbag last forever? No, it won't. We know
No,
that.
no.
How long will it last? Well, we don't know. Well, you should know because you're the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, and there should be a rule on that, and there is no rule. So that's my point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so let me put my 2 cents in. If you have a very old car, get rid of it. Don't wait till something happens.
Yeah, let some other sucker buy it, and
Well, maybe or maybe we'll get sold at an auction and get sent to
no, that's
the
all.
Bahamas.
I'm being facetious, but I'm being serious at the same time because that's what people do. If you have a car that's unsafe, what do? You get rid of it. Well, you don't get rid of it. You don't take it to the scrapper. You take it to a dealer. The dealer sells it to somebody else. So that's the reason. That's why we have a government to protect us from ourselves sometimes. And the government dropped the ball here. That was my point.
Okay, next question. Recalls on my Camry. I heard there's a recall on some Toyotas. 2017 Camry, there a recall, and have there been recalls recently on Toyotas?
What does your notification say? Is it telling you? Is it just the heads up one, or is it telling you to go ahead and get the repair taken care of?
No, I don't even know if it needs a repair.
Oh, okay. Well, you can put your VIN if you want to get a jump on it, because if you're paying attention, they will send you a letter, a notice of the recall. But if you want to get ahead, just put your VIN in safercar.gov and just see if it's.
Got it.
Yeah, put that in there.
No, when I'm in the dealership, I'm going to be going next week. Would they tell me?
Oh yeah. No, we can't. Yeah, if there's any cars in inventory, we get a notification of stop sale. So we herd up all the keys, and then we get them over to the service department, and we take care of the prescribed fix.
And every car that comes into our service drive, when we print a repair order on it, we automatically run the VIN number to see if there are any open recalls.
Yeah, we do the same with used vehicles, customer vehicles, everything.
Every car.
Okay, so if I have service on my car, it's checked and I don't have to worry about it. Is that correct?
We are checking, yes. As soon as we open up the repair order and we pull it up, our system will identify recalls and we take care of it. Yeah, you'll be notified. But you also get notified, and this is the big problem that we talk about on the show, is letters get sent out, maybe emails get sent out, but most people ignore them or miss them. They don't see it. So there's got to be a multi-pronged, multifaceted approach to get everybody to be aware of potentially, dangerous recalls. Not all recalls are horrendous, but some are pretty bad.
Howard, let me read you something from artificial intelligence ChatGPT. The estimated life of an auto airbag is typically around 10 to 15 years. However, this can vary depending on the manufacturer, the environment in which the vehicle is used, and how well the vehicle is maintained. It's important to refer to the vehicle's owner's manual or consult with the manufacturer for specific guidance on airbag lifespan for your particular vehicle model. So the point is, as far as we know, there is no.
Well, there's something you read there. We learned a lot about airbags when we were doing the Takata campaigns, and in states like Florida and Arizona, areas where it's hotter and more humid, that they decayed faster. So that would logically be applied to all airbags. All airbags might have a longer lifespan in a drier, cooler place, and down here in the hot and humidity, they might degrade a little bit faster. So that 10 or 15 years might be 12 or 13.
Well, when I first got airbags, a car with airbags, I looked at the visor and it said, check the airbag every 10 years. Mm-hmm. So in other words, considering that, I figured after 10 years, the airbags are not good anymore. So
Well, it's funny because they can check them. So what they're checking for, a technician can look at the connections and contacts and things like that. But what they can't see, like in the case of the Takatas, what was going on in the case of the propellant. And I think that is the more concerning thing: is how long does that stay stable and useful? Obviously, any part of the airbag, you got wires, and wires are making contact. So, but you're not going to stop the explosive device from degrading.
I just checked with Toyota, and they have no recommendation on the life of an airbag. So Toyota and the other manufacturers are to blame, and so is the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, and of course our politicians that make the laws. So yeah, that's a loophole that nobody seems to care much about as far as reliability of airbags. And just we talk about airbag recalls too all the time. Takata, the biggest of them all, and only 1 out of 4 cars are brought back for replacement and repair. So you call the car back, and people don't bring it in. And so it should be there should be some way to force repairs of life-threatening defects.
Right. We thought that it would be neat if police officers, nobody liked this idea, but they could get your plate, run your VIN from the plate, and let you know if you got a recall. They could pull you over, go get this fixture, like a windshield.
Yeah.
They can stop you for faulty equipment that they can see, but they can't stop you for faulty equipment that they can't see.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Great
Howard.
information.
Great question, Howard. It made us think about something. We cover a lot of stuff on the show. We probably covered this 20 years ago,
Yeah.
but
Still
nothing
important.
changes.
Still important.
It's just we still have the same situation. But like I say, if you're worried about your airbag, just trade it in. We'll sell the car to somebody else.
Okay, great. Okay.
Thanks, Howard.
Bye.
Thanks, Howard.
Have a great weekend. We're going to go to Jersey Mike from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Jersey Mike.
Hi there. I got 2 questions for you. The first one is this here Cadillac I've talked to you about before. It's a 2016.
Right.
It's been a disaster from the beginning. I should have never bought it from Napleton, and I was so stupid. Like I advise your listeners, please, if you're going to buy a car, take it to your own mechanic that you trust and get it reviewed, because I didn't do that, and it just was horrible what's happened with this car. Now, the question about that car, because I did a lot of repairs to it, thousands of dollars, which I shouldn't have had to do. In any case, I did put mileage on it, so it didn't fail mechanically from that standpoint. But right now, leather, and it's all falling apart. It's all just coming off. It just flakes up and falls up in big chunks.
Man.
And you can't crazy glue it back together again because it still falls off. So what am I going to do about that, if anything?
If we get a car like that, we use a trim shop. What's the name of the trim shop we use in North Palm?
Classic Auto Trim
Classic
or
Auto
Sun
Trim.
Auto Trim? We use each of them over the years.
Yeah, I think Sun Auto Trim is farther away. There are shops that do leather and interiors. They do headliners, things like that, and that's.
What was the name that you gave that you had?
One's Classic Auto Trim, and that's in North Palm Beach or in Riviera.
Yeah, I think so.
Right there, right near around the dealership, and then there's SAT, which is you messed me up because last week we talked about it. It's it's SAT as Sam Alpha Tango.
Sun Auto Trim is down in Fort Lauderdale.
Right. So anyway, there's.
Now I don't want to go down there. I can't take that ride.
I would just get your Googler out and search for auto trim closer to you.
Yeah, well, Riviera Beach is close.
Yeah, so Classic Auto Trim would be good.
Auto?
Yeah, Classic Auto Trim, and Google that and just describe the situation.
That's right. Let me get on to the other more important thing.
Yeah.
I stopped at a local dealership here along Military Trail that's selling used cars, and he has so many cars he's parking along the street. I mean, it's just like
is this drive time?
Walk in between. No, I forget the name. It was something. Anyway, it may come to me, but let me just say this: there was a Jeep there, the top of the line Jeep, and it was in excellent condition exterior wise. And I looked around. The gentleman there was very honest with me about it. He showed me that he was selling it for $25 over auction cost. He wanted $9,975 for the car.
Mm-hmm.
He said he bought it for $25 less than that.
$25 or $2,500?
No, $25. So
Yeah.
basically, he wanted to get rid of the car.
Oh, okay.
And I could see the motive about getting rid of the car because I think he's getting probably ticketed by the city or something because these cars are just overflowing onto the street.
Yeah, when you have
ridiculous.
when you have a used car lot, you have to pay attention to how long you have the cars because they keep depreciating. So if you get in trouble on a car, $25 over, that's people sell them for a loss.
And then you got to ask, is that really the price?
Right.
So,
Well, first of all, it takes more than $25 to
But
get
he
that
showed me on
Jeep
his-
from the auction
but
to
he
the
showed-
dealership.
He
So
showed me it on his phone, he pulled it up on his phone and
well, see what just say, write it up for me so that all you have to do is write the check out for that amount. Because when a car dealer, you know how to tell when a car dealer's lying, his lips are moving. So he told you the price, but he's probably lying to you.
he's typing on his keyboard.
Yeah.
Well, usually I look them in the eye, and if they don't want to look you in the eye, that tells me that they're deceptive, you know?
I haven't tried that one in a long time.
Well, that works with body language. But anyway, let me go back to the car, okay, the Jeep. I looked at it very carefully, and it was, just spotless. It had a nice gray tone to it with a metal flake in it. The body was just beautiful. I looked at the engine. I turned it on. I said, "You want to go take it for a ride? Take it for a ride." I said, "No, I don't need to take it for a ride. Not right at this moment. I want to look into it because I want to go to see what NADA and Kelly's Blue Book wants for that particular vehicle. I wrote down the VIN number on it and all that stuff. So I want to look into it and see just how, what the real value on that car is. Because if he is in fact selling it to me close to auction value, I'd be stupid not to buy it because first of all, I need a car to go up north. I'm from Jersey and I'm going back.
There's a dimension there's a dimension that he's not mentioning is like what I bought it from the auction. The question is when. If you bought it at the auction 6 months ago,
true.
so it's a lot more money.
1947.
Right, he bought it at an auction in '73.
Hey, Jersey Mike, I have a question for you. Where'd you buy that car?
Would I buy it? I think I'm going to buy it.
Pardon me?
The only thing is, wait a second, let me finish.
Haven't bought it yet.
You advise don't ever buy a car in South Florida. So that's what I'm really hesitant about. Remember?
Yeah, but take that with a grain of salt.
Are you saying never buy a car at Napleton?
Well, yes, absolutely. You're gonna you got yourself.
Did you say never buy a car at Napleton?
Yes, I said that.
Great commercial for Napleton. Stay away from Napleton. Jersey Mike,
let me tell you,
it's great talking to you. We've got a bunch of calls lined up here.
Thank you very much for your info. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a great
Mike.
weekend. We're going to go to Marty in West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Hey, Marty.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
How are you?
Hey, Marty.
Hey, I got a question. On the 2 or 3 days ago notice from Toyota, this was just in the, on TV, it said the 2020s and 2022 Avalon, Camry, Corolla, and RAV4, and some Lexus ones, that the airbag sensor might be defective and they might have to recall it.
Yes.
So my question for Rick is, how do you know? I mean, do you just look at it, or do you have to smash the car into a wall to see
Exactly.
if it's defective?
Well, we asked you to do that for us, and then you report to us what happened.
Well, no,
How do you
actually,
know if it's defective?
They know which
just by looking
VINs.
at it?
Each VIN that's affected, we're notified of for any in stock, and any that's already been sold, the owners are notified, and hopefully they get the notification and respond to it.
So in other words, you're going to know which one.
We get a list of VINs. I'm looking at several of these. Every time we get these, it comes from a QC, do not reply, safety recall, and then we'll have an attached file with any VINs that we have in stock with it. And immediately when we get this, those keys are corralled. We had another caller on this, and we get them to the service department, and they're fixed. We can't sell them. They have a
But
stop
most
sign.
people that have those problems don't ever come in.
Right.
And they're just so. Every recall, 3 out of 4 of the cars that are recalled are still on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So if I put my VIN in that website,
safercar.gov.
Yeah.
what's the name of it again?
safercar.gov.
Okay, so if I put my VIN in there,
Yeah.
if it comes up there's nothing wrong, then just forget about it.
Exactly.
For now, because the situation could change.
Yeah, there's only about 700,000 cars nationwide involved in that.
Yeah, they said 1.1 million,
Yeah,
but it includes the Lexus ones.
Right.
yeah.
If you've been paying attention to the news lately, there's not a day goes by when there's not a few million more cars recalled. So it's getting to be a circus.
Yeah, think
the joke is on us because they know how to recall a car, but they don't know how to get the car back in.
Right.
It's like the old Jerry Seinfeld. You know,
Right.
you can
Take the reservation. You just don't know how to hold the reservation.
Yeah, they don't know how. So they don't know how to fix the cars. They can recall them, but they can't fix them. The dealers don't do a good job of getting their customers back in, and the customers don't do a job of getting themselves back in. Of course, a lot of times you're driving a car that's changed hands 3 times or 4 times, and you never get to notice that the car's been recalled. So
Here's something that we do
the
a
whole
good job.
recall thing is kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Good point.
And I got one other quick question to ask you. I was driving my grandson's RAV4 hybrid, and I noticed, like, if you take your foot off the accelerator, the brake doesn't work like it does in a Tesla, where the Tesla really stops you.
Right.
So is that brake really working?
Yes. You still have regenerative braking, but it's just, in the case of the Toyota hybrids, it's designed just to recapture some of that fuel the energy that's dissipated in heat. It's not designed to really stop the car. But it does have a braking effect, and that's why we see in hybrids, brake pads just don't go down because the engine braking plays a big role in slowing the car down. But it's not like a Tesla where you take it off and you stop. It's not as dramatic.
Yeah. Well, my new car is supposed to be in next week, so I'll have to try it out.
All right, yeah. And if you want to try out the airbag thing, just look for a very solid concrete wall, Rick. Something like that.
Maybe my trade-in I'll bring into you and see if the sensors work.
Okay.
There you go. Hey, Morty, it's always great talking to you.
All right.
Thanks for
Have a
being
Merry
part of the
Christmas.
show.
Thanks, Marty.
Have a
Have a
great
Merry
weekend.
Christmas.
We're going to go to our last caller, and that is John in Stewart. Good morning, John.
Good morning. I have a question. So I live in Stewart, and this Wallace guy has 5 or 6 dealerships, and every one of them is just packed full of cars in the front. And behind the Hyundai place, it's just like they got a big field. They got 2 fields, actually. It's all along the side of one road and then down Commerce. They're packed. So, I mean, what does Earl think's going to happen with this stuff? I mean, I just tuned in, so I don't know if you already talked about it, but all these dealerships have all these cars. Something's got to give. I mean, they can't. You guys talk about that footprint thing, and they're paying on those cars. So, do you see something happen like in the spring if they don't start selling more, or what?
Well, are you referring to what was it?
Wallace up in Stewart, having a huge inventory.
Yeah, I think that what we have been talked about is the inventories in general are going up, and yes, they are paying interest on those cars. Is higher than it's been in many years, and it's not a good thing. So the car dealers' days of wine and roses are coming to an end. 2022, record profit year. 2023, the profits are down in the third quarter for the first time I've ever seen profits down for the auto business. And what you're seeing is the beginning of a trend back to what we call the normal condition. So all I can tell you is 2024 is going to be a real tough trial for the consumer, for the manufacturer, and the car dealers, because things are going crazy. When we have a 60 or 90-day supply of cars, and they're having to pay 10% interest to finance those cars, car dealers are really going to be hurt badly, and it'll be good for the consumer because they're going to have to sell those cars that they used to hang on to and hose you for and take advantage of you. So it's good for the consumers in 2024.
That's what I thought. So that's why I'm waiting until something comes down. Now, let me just ask you one more quick question. So if I came to your dealership and I looked over your used cars and I saw one that I liked, and because I'm kind of leery about cars that I bought in the past that I had to fix, like put thousands of dollars in them after I bought the stupid things, if I said, okay, I'll pay you the exact sticker price that you're asking, but I need an extended warranty, would you sell that car, or you wouldn't bring it down any?
No.
Or would you give me the warranty?
No. That would be the same as a discount.
Would it be? Okay.
Yeah.
Are those usually like $500 or more? Or is
It depends on the term and but like do some research on that. We don't typically recommend those. It's more of a comfort thing for the customer. Your best bet is like you're doing your research and making sure that you're getting a good car and getting it from a trustworthy source. And and if you're getting a late model car especially if you get something with some existing factory warranty, just think about that hard. And it's not always the best bet. We try to at our dealership make sure that the warranties that we have, that the coverage is good, and we do set our prices because we own the warranty company, and that's all registered with the state of Florida. So that's all a one price thing. But we just encourage everybody to do the research and make decisions based on that and not what we're trying to sell.
Okay, so then if you guys do it, so if I got a 3-year warranty that would cover it, would that be like a certified used car, or what would that be?
A certified used car is going to have whatever remainder of the factory warranty plus it comes from Toyota, and it's a nice hefty powertrain warranty, which probably will not ever be used because and then there's a discounted extended warranty that covers it mirrors the comprehensive warranty of the manufacturer, and it brings it up. Those are cheaper than your typical warranty for a non-certified car because it's sold directly by through the manufacturer, and they have it's not a dealer program.
Okay, so $1,000.
You're probably just short of that. I think the wrap was, back when I was selling them directly, was around $800, and I think it's a little bit more, but still not quite $1,000.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thanks.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, John. Okay, I think that we're going to go to Stu.
See what we got over here.
Check with Rick.
Yeah, I got a couple. I answered the airbag recall question. Here's a question from Lee. Which tire pressure reading is the most accurate? The one in my 2020 Avalon, or the one the tire store uses to inflate the tires? So in other words, the reading he's getting on his display.
Depends on whether you want comfort or a tire life.
Well, if he's asking for accuracy, the reading on the screen is going to be pretty accurate. Those sensors they're pretty good. So.
All right. Well, that would be a good thing just to keep the guy at the tire store honest. Go there, tell me what my pressure is, then look at your multi-information display, and if he matches, he's telling you the truth.
Well, that's the manufacturers. I was thinking in terms of the tire manufacturer versus the auto manufacturer. So,
what the fellow actually seems to be asking is how accurate are the sensors when you set your tire pressures.
Oh, okay.
And you have the display on the screen.
Yeah, they're pretty accurate.
Is that accurate versus, say, a typical pencil gauge? And I have found that pretty much any manufacturer now,
on the money,
those sensors are within 1 PSI of being dead accurate.
That's great.
As compared to a pencil gauge. But, I mean, none of them are an actual 100% scientifically calibrated for perfection.
Yeah, but if you're driving around, if your car says you have 38 PSI on all 4 tires, and you're driving, and the guy comes in and goes, "Hey, I need to change this tire; it's low on air," he's lying to you.
Yeah,
and they should be smart enough to know that you have gauges.
If they're reading right, then you're okay.
Yeah. Here's a simple question from Neil Ramirez, I think, as I'm getting better with mechanics. Good morning, all. I have a 2010 Prius that just recently starts drifting off to the right while going straight. I have to hold the wheel. What could cause the problem?
The tire. 99 times out of 100.
Or maybe if they're on the crown of the road or left side or right side of you.
It can be road crown, but otherwise, if you're on a relatively flat road and your car normally runs straight and smooth on that road, but now it's starting to drift a little bit, check your tire pressures. And it could also be that the tire has worn just enough that it's changed the rolling resistance of that tire. And at your next tire rotation, just ask them to cross the front tires as they go to the back or whichever, so that they go to the opposite side of the car. And that usually will correct it. And it doesn't cost you anything extra. The techs are usually have no problem with that. So it will cost you the same price as a normal tire rotation. And it's basically doing the same job as an alignment.
There you go.
Save you about $150.
There you go, Lee. Here's one. I think you might have seen this in anonymous feedback. It wasn't funny. Sorry, whoever it was. But I think it's one of the anti-electric people. It says, a severe storm Thursday in Maine cut power, forcing the cancellation of the vote to force people to move to electric vehicles. It was an attempt at literary irony.
Well, there's a lot of political